Movement was always part of my life. So I learned how to meditate from a very young age. Not just studying dance as well as living in New York, it's constant, it's rat race. It's just going. And there was always something happening in life or in family, but especially with grief, losing both parents, there was always something that triggered something else. And each time that happened, the one thing I would go back to was a slower way of moving, a more peaceful way of moving, a more therapeutic way of moving. I learned that all the things that were happening for a reason, to kind of steer you back to where you started. Body Mekanix is all about, obviously you're working on the body. And I was also very interested in the kinesthetic awareness part of it and the anatomical part of it. It's inspiring to see the transformation in people, and not just in their physical body, but how they start to process things differently. Very often I would have a client or someone who wants to do Pilates or wants to do yoga, and the first thing they say is, I'm not flexible. But you don't need flexibility. The whole point of doing it is to get that motion and that agility, and because there's some poses and some stretches that are really, really helpful, but the average person can't access it because their body does not work that way. So rather than force them to do that or have them skip that, you break it down as much as you can and work on the absolute basics over and over and over until their body can connect to that language. So we're working on what that person needs to get to that point, rather than forcing them to say, well, this is how it's supposed to be done, because that's not always possible. Functional movement is a very common term at the moment, but it really and truly is functional movement. Something as simple as to sit comfortably and not be in pain, to go to the floor and play with your grandkids, or to, God forbid, if you fall, to be able to get back up after you fall. A lot of people, when they fall, they can't get back up because they don't have the strength to do it. And I'm not talking about a 90-year-old grandmother. It could be a 30-year-old person who just has always focused on academics and not necessarily focused on their bodies. When you go into doing the movement, you have to be open-minded enough to recognize that I can't make the assumption that what I did yesterday is going to be the same thing today. Or I can't make the assumption that this is how this pose is supposed to be and my body can't get here, so I'm upset with that. You just have to be in the now, be in the moment, and that's much easier to say than to do, because that feeling is so few and far between. So just get moving. There's more than one instructor, there's more than one type of movement here. It's not just Pilates, it's not just yoga. It is movement that is helpful to you, a healthy way of moving.